Picture the last time you sat beside a fire. Maybe it was a bonfire on a beach or a fireplace crackling on a cold night. You could not look away, something in you just settled, your shoulders dropped, your breathing slowed, you felt, without knowing why, completely safe. That feeling is not modern comfort, that feeling is ancient memory. And the story of where it came from will change the way you look at every flame you ever see again. Go back not centuries, not thousands of years, millions of years. Your ancestors were not human yet. They were small, cautious, tree-dwelling creatures living in a world ruled entirely by things that wanted to eat them. The savannah was not a landscape, it was a gauntlet. Every shadow held a predator, every sound in the dark was a potential ending. Life was short, violent, and constantly interrupted by fear. Then the sky lit up. Lightning struck a dry tree somewhere on the African plain. Flames spread fast across the grass. Every creature on that plain ran, every creature, that is, except one species that did something no animal had ever done before. They stopped, they turned around, and they watched. Why would a small, fragile, slow-moving primate stop and stare at the one thing that was killing everything around it? Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard University has spent decades studying this exact question. His research suggests that the relationship between early humans and fire was not accidental. It was transformative. Fire, Wrangham argues, did not just warm your ancestors, it rewired them. Here is what the science shows. When early Homo erectus first encountered wildfire roughly 1.5 million years ago, something happened in their nervous systems that no other animal experienced. Instead of pure flight, there was something else: curiosity, a pull toward the light, a flicker of fascination alongside the fear. No other primate showed this response. Chimpanzees flee, baboons flee, but your ancestors paused, and that pause was the beginning of everything. Think about what fire must have looked like. Your ancestors had never seen artificial light. They had never seen something move that was not alive. They had never felt warmth that came from the ground. Fire danced, it hissed, it changed shape without being touched. It ate wood and turned it into nothing. To a mind that had never encountered anything like it, fire was not just dangerous, it was supernatural. It was the first thing your ancestors could not explain. Researcher Andrew Sorensen at Leiden University has studied early stone tools for signs of fire use. What he found suggests that within a relatively short evolutionary window, early humans went from fleeing fire to following it. They moved toward the smoldering edges of wildfires. They picked up burning branches. They held them. Something in the brain was calculating even then that the risk was worth the reward. But what reward? What was the brain sensing that the body did not yet understand? The answer, according to Wrangham, is cooked food. Even before your ancestors learned to control fire themselves, they were eating animals killed and cooked by wildfires. Cooked meat is dramatically easier to digest than raw meat. It delivers more calories with less effort. The jaw does not have to work as hard. The gut does not have to work as hard. The brain, suddenly flooded with more energy than it had ever received before, started to grow. That first encounter with fire-cooked food was, quite literally, the beginning of the human brain as you know it. So when your ancestors stopped and stared at that fire, they were not just looking at flames. They were looking at their own future. But the transformation did not stop at food, because here is what fire also did, and this part never appears in the history books. Fire created night. Before fire, darkness was the end of the day. When the sun went down, your ancestors went silent, went still, went up into the trees. The night belonged to predators. It was not time for thought. It was not time for connection. It was time to survive until morning. Fire changed that entirely. Around a fire, the night opened up. Predators stayed back. The circle of light was a circle of safety, and inside that circle, something unprecedented began to happen. People talked. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner at the University of Utah conducted a remarkable study comparing daytime conversations around fires among the Jew/Honsi people of southern Africa with nighttime conversations around fires. What she found was striking. Daytime talk was mostly practical, complaints, logistics, conflicts, but nighttime fire talk was different. It was stories, it was songs. It was the retelling of great hunts, of strange events, of the behavior of people long dead. Nighttime firelight, Wiesner concluded, was the birthplace of storytelling. And storytelling was the birthplace of culture, of shared identity, of everything that makes a group of individuals into a people. Your ancestors did not just sit around a fire, they became human around a fire. Now imagine being the first one to feel this. Imagine the first ancestor who reached out and held a burning branch and carried it, the heat on their hand, the smoke in their eyes, the astonishing fact that the fire moved with them, that they could take the light anywhere, that they were in that moment carrying the sun. No other creature had ever done this. No other creature had ever held something dangerous and made it serve them. That was the beginning of a different kind of intelligence. Not just problem solving, not just tool use, something deeper. The understanding that the world could be bent to the will of one small, determined species. The first time your ancestor walked through the dark carrying a torch, every predator that saw that light turned away, every shadow retreated. The night, for the first time in the history of life on this planet, was afraid of something small. And here is the counterintuitive part. The thing that calmed your ancestors down was also the most terrifying thing they had ever encountered. Fear and fascination living in the same moment, danger and safety contained in the same flame. This was new. Animals do not hold two contradictory feelings at once, but your ancestors did. And that capacity, the ability to hold complexity, to feel two true things simultaneously, was a new kind of mind beginning to emerge. Evolutionary psychologist Gordon Gallup Jr. has written about how the capacity for self-awareness, the ability to see yourself from the outside, seems to correlate with the cognitive leap that happened in early Homo. The fire may have accelerated this. A face reflecting back in the light, the awareness of being warm while everything else was cold, the recognition that you were different from the dark. Self-awareness perhaps began as a fire-lit silhouette. Think about what that first fire circle looked like. A handful of small figures seated around a pool of orange light. Behind them, absolute darkness. Above them, a sky full of stars they had no name for yet. In front of them, something alive and hungry and beautiful that they had decided, against every instinct, to approach, to tend, to feed. They did not have language yet, not fully, but they had something else. They had the fire between them, and the fire made them face each other. This is what fire really gave your species, not just warmth, not just cooked food, not just protection from the dark. Fire gave your ancestors a reason to face each other, to sit still, to wait, to be present with other people without a task in front of them. The first leisure, the first shared silence, the first moment when being alive felt like something more than survival. And that feeling never left. Because tonight, when you sit beside a fire or even a candle or a screen glowing in a dark room, something very old and very deep in your nervous system responds. Your shoulders drop, your breathing slows. The ancient threat detector in your brain reads the warm light and says, the fire is ours, the circle is safe. The night is held back, you are not alone, you are home. The last time you sat beside a fire and could not look away, that was not nostalgia, that was memory. The oldest memory your body carries, and it goes all the way back to a small, trembling creature on a dark plain who looked at something terrifying and instead of running, stayed. Guys, if you liked today's video, make sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. Thanks for watching.